He is our own little Spitfire. Big warm welcome for Barney Gribbin.
Gillespie Tower, Cessna 48728 at Anglo-American Aviation for taxi to 27 left. 22 years ago, my brother Mark and I went to California to learn how to fly. I've been driving the same car for the last 10 years. I couldn't tell you the number plate in my car, but I still remember the call sign in the aircraft I learned to fly in, Cessna 48728. Mark took a notion one time he wanted to learn how to fly. He was taking lessons up in Eglinton. God bless you. He was working as a joiner at the time, so he could take lessons in the evening or on a Saturday. A lot of the times it didn't suit him. A lot of the times it didn't suit the instructor. But most of the time, the weather didn't suit. Ireland wouldn't be the best country in the world to learn how to fly. He had taken 4 lessons in 8 months. Now, if you want to do a driving test, you can sit the test after 1 lesson if you're capable. To do a private pilot's flying test, you must have at least 40 hours experience under your belt. 4 hours in 8 months, this was going to take years. Through a friend of a friend, Mark heard of a flying school in California. They offered a month's package. They guaranteed you would get 40 hours flying, and at the end of it, if you were capable, you could sit your flying test. I had no interest in going to Eglinton to learn to fly, but a month's holiday in California and learn how to fly when you're there, count me in. The pair of us headed to California. Because we were the 2 new students in the school, the first day you're there, that evening everybody goes out for a beer, and it's like a get-to-know-you exercise. The company we went out to was called Anglo-American Aviation. It was run by 2 English guys, Andy and Tim. We were at the bar, I was talking to Andy, and Andy says to me, you know, I was actually quite shocked at the first time I heard that there was 2 boys from Northern Ireland coming to a flying school that was run by 2 Englishmen. But then he says, I thought the thing through, and he says, no, maybe it's not so shocking at all because they'll be Protestants. Whoops, he's in for a shock now. He says to me, would you know any Catholics? I says, of course I do. My brother Mark, for starters. Well, he turned pure white. I could see his body shaking and the fear in his eyes. I honestly thought he was going to fall off the bar stool. It turned out Andy had been a helicopter pilot in the British Army. He had served 2 terms of duty in Northern Ireland, and he'd lost some good friends here. His impression was that every Catholic in Northern Ireland was in the IRA, and they would murder every Englishman if they could have a chance. Is it any wonder he was frightened? He thought he was in a bar with 2 IRA men. But this sparked a conversation that lasted all evening, and by the end of the night, I had changed Andy's opinion on Northern Irish Catholics, to the extent that for the rest of the month, if he was ever going out for a beer, the first 2 people he invited along with him was myself and Mark. 6 months after we came home from the flying school, we got an invitation to his wedding. That was my small contribution to cross-community relations. Back to the flying. I was allocated an instructor for the duration of the month. We would do schoolwork in the morning and then we'd fly in the afternoon. At the start, the instructor was doing most of the flying, and bit by bit, he handed the controls over to me. And then it came to the day, the most exciting, dangerous part of all was learning how to land the plane. The instructor had taught me through the procedure. You line up with the runway, you get the numbers on the runway in line with the bottom of the windscreen of the aircraft. If they start to drop below the windscreen, you're going too high. If they start to climb up the windscreen, you're going too low. Keep them level with the bottom of the windscreen, in line with the centre of your chest, and hold 75 knots. That's it. Those 3 things, you will land the plane every time. So we come round in the short final, and I'm on the controls, and I'm juggling with it, really rough with the controls, trying to keep these numbers right. It starts to smooth out a little bit. This is quite tricky. Not as difficult as I thought, but it was quite tricky. The instructor's not saying anything, so I must be doing okay. We're about 50 foot off the ground, and the instructor says, did you check your speed? Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph and the wee donkey. I'm doing 130 knots. If I touch down at this speed, I'm going to rip the wheels off the aircraft. So that was the end of flying for the day. The next day, we're coming out. We'll not be doing any schoolwork, and we're going to go straight into practicing how to land the plane. I must have crashed the plane about 10 times that night. We come out the next day, fly the circuit, come into short final. The instructor dabs the controls a couple of times, and we touch down at 85 knots. Too fast. Let's go again. Second time round, the instructor doesn't touch any of the controls, but I still touch down at 85 knots. You're still going too fast. Get that speed down. Let's go again. Third time round, I touch down at 75 knots. The instructor doesn't touch any of the controls. He asked me to stop the plane. He opened the door and I get out and he says, right, off you go. You're on your own. He closed the door and walked away. And I said, what? I knew this solo flight was coming, but I didn't think it was going to be dropped on me like this. And you're sitting there with a whole wave of emotions going through you. You're scared. You're nervous. You're excited. But by God, you're scared. My sphincter muscles were that tight, my boxer shorts were like a G-string. But I took off and I flew the circuit, came round a short final, and I get the numbers in line with the bottom of the windscreen in the aircraft, in line with the centre of my chest, 75 knots. The numbers start to drop below the windscreen, so I get the numbers up, get your speed's going up, get that speed down, get it in line with your chest. The wings of the plane could have been on fire and I wouldn't have noticed. Absolute tunnel vision on these three things. Keep those numbers right. 75 knots, hold it. Oh, touchdown! Whoa, I did it! Yes! Unbelievable, I just made it. Now I have to contact the tower and ask for permission to taxi back to Anglo-American Aviation. When you're contacting the tower, there's a protocol that you must follow. All the aircraft in that area are on the same radio channel. So when your first contact is, you must say who you're talking to, who you are, where you are, and what you want to do. That's why you get a pilot's voice whenever you're talking, get on the radio. So my message to the tower should have been, Gillespie Tower, Cessna 48728 at 27 left for taxi to Anglo-American Aviation. But what came out was, Gillespie Tower, I did it! I did it! Now, what I didn't realise that my instructor had told the tower that I would be doing my first solo flight. They had kept all the other aircraft on the other runway. I didn't even realise I had this whole thing to myself. But you could sense the smile in his voice when he came back to me. He says, clear to taxi to Anglo-American Aviation. Congratulations. The day arrived when Mark had recorded 40 hours in his logbook and I had recorded 40 and a half. We sat our flying test and the both of us passed. Yes. The next day we went to the store and we bought the biggest wicker basket we could find and we filled it with all sorts of goodies. We brought it to the airfield and we gave it to the guys in the tower as a thank you for having looked after us for the last month. That afternoon I was going out for a flight and I contacted the tower, Gillespie Tower, Cessna 48728 at Anglo-American Aviation for taxi to 27 left. A female voice came back to say, are you one of the Irish guys that left the present in here this morning? I said, yes, I am. She says, I'm really sorry I missed you. I've been working here for the last 12 years. Nobody has ever given us anything. Thank you so much. I thought that was really nice. 2 months after we come home from America, Mark saw an ad for a 2-seater plane for sale in Dublin. The pair of us headed off to Dublin, and before the end of the day, we had bought ourselves an airplane. That's a scary story for another day. Thank you very much.
Oh, Barney, how many lives have you had? I mean, the things that you've told us. In case any of you don't know, Barney's a tour guide in Belfast, so I'd say, no matter whether you've lived in Belfast all your life, I'd say that'd be quite a tour to go on, so check it out.